I'm standing at the bottom of the ocean. Walls of water tower over my head, taller than 10 houses stacked on top of each other. Fish swim in the walls. My feet completely dry. My name is Miriam. I'm 12 years old, and this is the most insane day of my entire life. Want to know how I got here? It all started with a basket, a river, and a baby who wouldn't stop crying. That baby was my little brother. His name is Moses.
My mama's name was Jochebed, and she had a terrible secret. 3 months ago, she had a baby boy. You might think, so what? That's wonderful. But you don't understand. We lived in Egypt. We were slaves. And the king, Pharaoh, had made a law so cruel I can barely say it out loud. Every Hebrew baby boy had to be killed, thrown into the Nile River. Why? Because Pharaoh was afraid. He saw that God's people were growing in number, strong, healthy, multiplying. So he decided to destroy us before we got too powerful. Every day, we made bricks under the burning sun. Our hands blistered and bled. Egyptian guards beat us with sticks. We cried out to God, how long will this last? But God was silent, or so we thought.
Mama hid my baby brother for as long as she could. When he cried, she would rock him and sing softly, "Hush now, my darling, don't make a sound." When soldiers marched past our house, I would play my tambourine loud to cover his cries. But babies grow, and their cries get louder. One morning, Mama heard the soldiers coming closer, house by house, door by door. They were banging on doors, shouting, "Open up! Any baby boys in there?" Mama looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "Miriam," she whispered, "we're out of time." That night, Mama did something I'll never forget. She went down to the riverbank. She cut tall papyrus reeds with her own hands. She wove them together, over, under, over, under. She made a basket. Then she covered it with tar and pitch so water couldn't get in. She lined it with the softest blanket we had. The next morning, she held my baby brother one last time. She counted his tiny fingers. She kissed his forehead. She whispered, "God, I'm putting him in your hands now." And she placed him in the basket. I followed her to the river. The sun was just coming up. The water looked dark, mysterious, dangerous. Mama knelt down. Her hands were shaking. She set the basket on the water and let go. The current caught it immediately. The basket bobbed, it spun, it drifted away from the shore. My baby brother started to cry. Mama covered her mouth to keep from screaming. "Follow him, Miriam," she said. "Don't let him out of your sight." So I ran along the riverbank. My heart pounded in my chest. I knew what lived in that river. Crocodiles, giant ones, with teeth like daggers. I prayed harder than I'd ever prayed before. God, please, please keep him safe.
Then I heard voices, women laughing. I ducked behind the tall reeds. It was the princess, Pharaoh's daughter. She came down to the river to bathe with her servant girls. Of all the people in Egypt, she was the last person I wanted to see. Her father was the one killing Hebrew babies. But then something incredible happened. The princess saw the basket. "What's that?" she asked, pointing. "Bring it to me." A servant girl waded into the water. She pulled the basket to shore. The princess opened it. Inside was my baby brother, red-faced, screaming, absolutely furious. For a moment, nobody said anything. Then the princess smiled. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said softly.
I held my breath. This was it. She was going to call the guards. But instead, she picked him up. She held him close. She rocked him gently. "Poor thing," she whispered. "You're all alone, aren't you?" And right then, I saw it in her eyes. She wasn't going to hurt him. She was going to save him. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was courage. Maybe it was God. but I jumped out from the reeds. "Excuse me, Your Highness," I said, bowing quickly. The princess turned, surprised. "Would you like me to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the baby for you?" I blurted out. The princess looked at me, then at the baby, then she smiled. "Yes, please do." I ran, faster than I'd ever run in my life. I burst through our door. "Mama, Mama, come quick!" And that's how my mother got paid to nurse her own son. God didn't just save him, God gave him back to us. The princess named him Moses. It means drawn out of the water. She raised him as her own son, in Pharaoh's palace, the same palace where the king ordered babies to be killed. God has a sense of humor, doesn't he?
Moses grew up as a prince. He wore fine robes. He learned to read and write Egyptian hieroglyphics. He ate fancy food. He had servants. But Mama made sure he knew the truth. You're not Egyptian, Moses. You're Hebrew. You're one of us. One day, when Moses was a grown man, he saw something that changed everything. An Egyptian guard was beating a Hebrew slave over and over. "Please," the slave begged. I'm trying. "Work faster, slave," the Egyptian guard screamed. Something inside Moses snapped. His hands clenched into fists. His vision went red. He looked left. He looked right. No one was watching. Moses grabbed the guard. They struggled. They fought. And when it was over, the guard lay dead in the sand. Moses' hands were shaking. What had he done? He buried the body quickly and ran back to the palace. No one saw. No one knows, he told himself. But he was wrong.
The next day, Moses saw two Hebrew men fighting. "Hey," Moses said, "why are you hitting your own brother?" One of the men sneered at him. "Oh, what are you gonna do about it? Kill me like you killed that Egyptian?" Moses' blood turned to ice. They knew. By sunset, everyone knew. Pharaoh sent soldiers to arrest him. "Find Moses and kill him," Pharaoh roared. Moses ran. He left the palace. He left his fine clothes. He left his title. He ran into the desert with nothing but the clothes on his back. From prince to fugitive in one day. Moses thought his life was over, but God was just getting started.
40 years passed. Moses became a shepherd in the desert of Midian. He married a woman named Zipporah. He had children. He lived a quiet, simple life. Every day was the same. Wake up, feed the sheep, lead them to water, go to sleep. Moses was now 80 years old. His hair was gray. His hands were rough and weathered. He probably thought God had forgotten all about him. One day, Moses was out with the sheep. Same old routine, same old desert. Then he saw something weird. A bush on fire. Now, fires weren't unusual in the desert, but this fire was different. The flames danced and crackled. The bush glowed bright orange. But here's the thing, it wasn't burning up. The branches stayed green. The leaves didn't turn to ash. "I've got to see this," Moses muttered. He walked closer, closer, closer.
"Moses."
Moses froze. That voice didn't come from a person. It came from the fire.
"Moses."
"Moses." "Yes," Moses stammered. "I'm here."
"Take off your sandals. You are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob."
Moses fell to his knees. He covered his face. He was terrified. Then God said something that changed everything.
"I have seen my people suffering in Egypt. I have heard their cries, and I have come down to rescue them. I'm sending you, Moses, to bring them out."
Moses' head shot up. "Me?" he said. No, you've got the wrong guy."
"I will be with you."
"But what if they don't believe me?" Moses argued. "What if Pharaoh won't listen? What if I mess this up? I can't even speak well. I stutter."
Who made your mouth, Moses? Who made you able to see and hear? Isn't it me? Now go, I will help you speak. I will tell you what to say."
Moses took a deep breath, 80 years old, a shepherd, a murderer, a runaway, and God was calling him to stand before the most powerful king on earth. "Okay," Moses whispered, "I'll go."
Moses stood in Pharaoh's throne room. Golden statues lined the walls. Guards with spears stood at attention. Pharaoh sat on his throne, draped in jewels and gold. Moses' brother Aaron stood beside him for support. "Let my people go," Moses said, his voice echoing in the chamber. Pharaoh raised one eyebrow. "And who is this God of yours that I should obey him?" Pharaoh said mockingly. "I don't know your God, and I will not let Israel go." Moses nodded slowly. "Then you will see what the God of Israel can do." What happened next was unbelievable. Moses lifted his staff over the Nile River. The water turned red, thick, dark, like blood. Fish floated to the surface, dead. The smell was horrible. Nobody could drink the water. But Pharaoh shrugged. "My magicians can do that too. Moses, you'll have to do better." So God sent frogs, not just a few frogs, millions of them. They hopped into houses, into beds, into ovens, into bread bowls. You couldn't walk without stepping on frogs. Pharaoh's palace was overrun. "Fine, fine," Pharaoh shouted. "Take them away, and I'll let your people go." Moses prayed. The frogs died, all of them, at once. The smell was even worse than before. But as soon as the frogs were gone, Pharaoh changed his mind. "On second thought," Pharaoh said with a smirk, "no, they stay." So God sent gnats, then flies, then a disease that killed all the Egyptian livestock, then painful boils that covered people's skin, then hail, giant chunks of ice that destroyed crops, then locusts that ate everything the hail didn't destroy, then darkness, 3 days of complete, total darkness. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face, but in the Hebrew homes, there was light. 9 plagues. 9 times Moses said, "Let my people go." 9 times Pharaoh said no. His heart was hard as stone. Then God told Moses, "One more plague. After this, Pharaoh will beg you to leave." God's instructions were very specific. "Tonight, every family will take a lamb, a perfect lamb with no spots or defects. You'll eat it for dinner. But first, take some of its blood, paint it on the top and sides of your doorframe. When I see the blood, I will pass over your house. You will be safe."
That night was the longest night of my life. Mama cooked the lamb. Papa painted the blood on our doorframe. We stayed inside. We didn't sleep. We just waited. At midnight, we heard it. It started far away, then closer, closer. Every Egyptian home lost their firstborn son that night, from Pharaoh's palace to the poorest house. Even Pharaoh's own son died. The screaming was horrible. I'll never forget it. But in our house, silence. The angel of death passed over us.
The next morning, Egyptian soldiers pounded on doors. "Get out," they screamed. "Leave Egypt now." Pharaoh himself sent word. "Take your families, take your flocks, take your God, just go." We grabbed what we could. No time to let bread rise. We took it flat. 600,000 families poured out of Egypt. Old people, young people, babies, children. We walked and walked and walked. After 430 years of slavery, we were finally free. We sang, we danced, we praised God.
But 3 days later, someone screamed, "Look behind us!" I turned around, my heart stopped. Dust clouds rose on the horizon. Pharaoh had changed his mind. Again. He sent his entire army after us. 600 chariots, thousands of soldiers, horses, spears, swords. We ran toward the Red Sea. When we reached the shore, we stopped. Water stretched out in front of us as far as we could see. Behind us, the Egyptian army was getting closer.
We were trapped, completely and totally trapped. People started panicking. We're going to die. Moses, why did you bring us out here? We should have stayed in Egypt. A little girl near me grabbed her father's hand. Daddy, are the soldiers going to hurt us? She whispered. I looked at Moses. His face was calm. How could he be calm? Moses lifted his hands. Don't be afraid, he shouted over the noise. Stand still and watch what the Lord will do. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. Then Moses turned toward the sea. He lifted his staff, and the impossible happened. God sent a wind, not a gentle breeze, a hurricane wind. The water began to move. The water pulled back. Back. It rose up on the left side. It rose up on the right side, higher than houses, higher than trees, higher than anything I'd ever seen. 2 walls of water stood there, frozen, held in place by the hand of God. And between them, dry ground, the sea floor.
Walk, Moses shouted. Nobody moved. We just stared. Walk, Moses said again. God is making a way. Go! My mother grabbed my hand. Come on, Miriam. We stepped onto the seafloor. My feet touched sand, dry sand. I looked up. On my left, a wall of water towered over me. On my right, another wall. I could see fish swimming inside the walls, seaweed floating, but not a single drop of water touched me. That's how we got here, to the beginning of this story.
Hundreds of thousands of us walked through, babies, grandparents, animals, all of us. When the last person reached the other side, we looked back. The Egyptian army had followed us in. Their horses were struggling in the sand. Their chariot wheels were stuck. We've got them now, the soldiers laughed. Then Moses lifted his staff again. The walls of water came down. Thousands of tons of water crashed together. The soldiers screamed, the horses panicked, and then silence. The sea looked like nothing had happened, calm, peaceful, blue. But not a single Egyptian soldier survived. We stood on the shore, soaking wet from the spray, exhausted and free. Moses started singing, then Aaron, then my mother, then me. We sang praises to God all night long.
That was 40 years ago. I'm older now, my hair is gray, but I'll never forget that day. The day I walked through the Red Sea. You know what I learned? God doesn't choose perfect people. Moses was a murderer who ran away. I was just a kid. My mother was a slave with no power. But God used all of us to do something impossible. When Moses was a baby in a basket floating down a river full of crocodiles, God had a plan. When Moses was hiding in the desert, thinking his life was over, God had a plan. When we were trapped between the army and the sea, God had a plan. God always has a plan. And here's the amazing part. The same God who saved baby Moses, the same God who split the Red Sea, he has a plan for you, too. Maybe you feel too small. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you're scared. That's okay. Moses felt all those things. But God said, I will be with you. And that changed everything. So the next time you're afraid, remember, God can make a path through the impossible, just like he did for Moses.